Hello and welcome everybody to today's video. Welcome to the Vee Academy. My name is Crumbrion, Professor Crumbrion, if you would. And today we're going to be taking a look at a wonderful game that we played on Pokemon Trading Card Game Live, and be happy to get your reactions to it. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. If you want to follow me and watch games in real time, check me out on twitch.tv/Crumbrion. For now, let's go check out the game. Thanks for watching.
3, 2, 1, go!
I don't... It's fine. There's just no point in playing against a fucking deck that just constantly gets top deck God draws. Literally fucking nothing that you can do. What do you have? You have Charmander in the act. Yeah. This deck is your kryptonite? You don't like Charizard? So we're just not going to Earthen Vessel this turn. There's no point in us Earthen Vesseling. I could have done it for the energy. I should have, but it also, like, if we get Iono'd, then we have an extra energy. Like, we have 2 extra energies that we can't do anything with, so it'd be a waste of an Earthen Vessel. I don't really want to do that, but doesn't matter anyways because they're getting 2 Charmanders down. Flutter Mane is the better one to have in the active. We want to protect Munkidori and Ralts. TM Evolution, shocker. Here we go. Okay, he doesn't get it. That's good, because now we can Iono. Fuck me. So, I think what I want to do is just guarantee that we get a Dark Energy down this turn. We won't need Fez for now, so we get a Dark Energy down. We're not going to bother with the grabbing that because we're just going to be able to only attach 1 anyways. We want, technically we want to be able to draw into like we want to be able to draw into energies, which is why I didn't want to take an energy out of the deck. Ooh, I really need to put this down. I don't think we put down Drifloon yet. I think we refinement. Get rid of the Ultra Ball. Okay, it's not great, but it's fine. I think we keep the Drifloon in hand. So now they can't TM Evo, which it doesn't really matter anyways, because they're probably going to be able to evolve from their hand anyways this turn. But this is to stop the TM Evo this turn, and next turn we put down Gardevoir to put down Drifloon. So, okay, they don't get Pidgeot. That's good. That's very good news. Don't get Pidgeot. We don't have very many energy discard. 2. Not ideal. They can't Blazing Destruction either. Good. All right, perfect. Perfect. All right, so I would love to get Drifloon down and put Gardevoir, but it's going to mean that we lose our Pokemon League headquarters, which is also kind of fine, because that means the Drifloon cannot attack this turn. So what I want to do here is I want to refinement. I don't necessarily want to get rid of my Tulip, but it's the better card to get rid of right now. Where Candy is not useful to us right now, so we'll get rid of that. Get another energy. So we Gardevoir. We attach a Dark Energy for retreat. Not a Dark Energy, that energy. So we Palpad back in the Iono and Tulip. That's good. and then we refresh our hand here. We're going to give them an extra card. That's fine. Hopefully we just got rid of a Pidgeot. That would have been nice. And prize check here. We have a Ralts. Secret box is prized. That is unfortunate. So we'll take the Ralts. Why not? Don't want to put it down. Don't want to put it down. I think I want to just retreat here, put up the Drifloon, take the KO on the Charmander. And get rid of an energy in the process, which is fine. Got the Bravery Charm. We unfortunately can't make use. I think we do take the 30 off of this Drifloon. And I think we do put it onto this, because if this becomes a Charizard, now that's within Drifloon range. We have the extra damage here to play with because of Gapejaw Bog allows us to do this. So we get the 100 damage on the Charizard, take the KO. 150 damage. Guess we didn't need that anyway. But fine. They could counter catcher us here, which would be unfortunate, but Bravery Charm. We're seeing a Charizard here. Could take out the Gardevoir here, which would be unfortunate, but we do have Tulip back in the deck now, so. We also know that we can't do anything with Screamtail because of Manaphy, so unfortunate. Looking like they're trying to dig for a Charizard, so we might have disrupted their hand fairly well. This is not a boss's order, so this is good. They could still counter catcher us. Not be ideal, but they get the Pidgeot. Get the Rare Candy Charizard. They can't Arven. Get the missing piece that they need. I'm sure they have a Charizard in hand. It's only a matter of time before they got it, obviously, but they had to waste a professor's research to get it, so I'm fine with that. What did they throw away? 2 nest balls, just basically Pokemon search. That's fine. That is fine. Yeah, if we can get a combination to get our Drifloon back into play, this Charizard will have enough damage on it for us to one-shot if we can get the energies available. Which right now we're struggling to get energies in the discard pile, but fine with stuff like Gapejaw Bog. Helps us get there a little bit faster. We just need 5 energies, and then with Gapejaw Bog, we just need 4 energies to get Drifloon to the damage it needs to swing for a KO on Charizard with that damage on it, so. We'll get to 100 damage, which is 300 damage for Drifloon. Be interested to see what happens here. They might Blazing Destruction. They might not have gotten the combo. They could go for Charmeleon. Okay, they're retreating. That's good news. That looks like it's not an attack here. Are they putting up the Pidgey? They are putting up the Pidgey. Interesting. Okay. So we potentially have a play. We potentially have a play where we can... Okay, no, that's out of range, so they can't place damage counters on that guy. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. So we get rid of the Buddy Poff in here. And then we get rid of Comfey, because I don't think this is a Comfey game. Alakazam, it helps. A little bit, actually. Because that gets Manaphy out of the picture, right? That gets Manaphy out of the picture if we can facilitate something here. We need a way to get... We need too much. This one needs... Unfortunately, we need too much. Do we need any of these? I mean, I guess we do. That. We don't need anything else in here, though, so we can just discard that with research. Super Rod's good when Drifloon dies. It will. It will die. Just take out the Pidgey and then attack with whatever else. We have to go with, we have to attack with Alakazam, actually. This is unfortunate, but has to be done like this. We'll see what he puts up. If he puts up the... We'll see what he puts up the Charmeleon or not. We get Tulip. We get the Ultra Ball. Ooh, the Ultra Ball helps. Ooh, the Ultra Ball helps a lot, actually. That's huge. Okay. The Ultra Ball gets us a KO here on the Manaphy. And then we put up the Flutter Mane. Ooh, that's pretty nice. Okay, so we retreat here. Or Flutter Mane. Ultra Ball. That. I think we just grab a Gardevoir to get it out of the deck. We can... yeah, because then we can get 20 more damage on that and get the damage back to where it needs to be. And then Flutter Mane being the active means if he puts up Charmeleon and evolves to Charizard, he doesn't get his ability. We take out the Manaphy, which opens up the Screamtail potential. Get the 30 damage back onto this guy. Alright, it doesn't do that. Never mind. That's fine, though. I should have put it to Pidgeot, because then I could have moved it with Alakazam. But it doesn't necessarily matter, because, yeah, so now he can't Pidgeot search. He can evolve, but he can't quick search this turn until he retreats. Doesn't matter anymore. He's just going to retreat and then quick search. That's unfortunate he had it in hand. Nothing we could have done about that, so. Alright, so we have no energy in there, however. So we have another, that opens up for another dark energy potentially from Munkidori here. We have Gardevoir in hand, so we don't need to waste Tulip to grab another one. I'm assuming they're going to unfair stamp this turn, though. It would make sense. They can only kill one thing, which is fine. And then that gives us enough energy in the discard pile, basically, to do whatever we want. And they're going to boss, of course. They're going to boss the Gardevoir, of course. Fucker. That's fine, actually. Let's see, what can we do with that? What can we do with that? Flip the Flutter Mane. We can boss the Charizard. Radiant Zard. Climate Evolution. I don't think we necessarily put down another Gardevoir yet, because it's just another boss target. So we Adrenabrain. Do that. Denaralts. I think we boss. I think the answer is boss's orders. Then this can't attack, and they have to facilitate a switch. That's the case. And we just Hex Hurl, we put more damage onto the Charizard. And then, so he's going to have to retreat this, either by using a switch or some other method. I'm sure they have another boss in deck. Sure they do. That in KO range now. All we really have to do is move damage off of this Radiant Charizard to the Charmander. And then... this can't really do anything to attack. This will still be, we'll still have this in the active too. We've locked him in the active right now. He's gonna have to Pidgeot search a switch. Put him in a very uncomfortable position right now, so. But we still have a KO on this Charmander. If we do things properly here, we sequence this correctly. Interesting, you're attaching to Pidgeot, so there's the switch. That was obviously what they grabbed, so. That doesn't bother me, because now we can get the Flutter Mane back in again. Because we want to stop the Radiant Charizard from being a problem. And boss up the Kirlia. Boss up the Drifloon, interesting choice. Okay, that's fine. I'm okay with this. We get the Drifloon back in anyways. Alright, so they have 7 cards. We get the Kirlia back out. The energy, I think we want to... we want a Super Rod. Get the Drifloon back in. We'll get the Dreamtail back in. We get Fezandipiti back. I think what we want to do here is we want to Gardevoir this turn. He's played 2 bosses now, so I think it's fairly safe to say they don't have any more bosses. This is dangerous, because if they have another bosses, we're cooked. But we get the Drifloon. There's no space for the Drifloon. Unfortunate. So, what do? I guess we don't put another... we don't waste time by putting another Gardevoir down, surely, right? Let's get rid of the Kirlia. Calaminous. We Arven? Did we? I don't know. I move them down to 3. They're going to get whatever they want with Pidgeot anyways. Doesn't really matter. Arven. Night Stretcher. Be nice to have. Yeah, if they have another bosses, we're cooked anyways, so. We're in a brain. Painful Spoons. And all we have to do is take out Charizard or Pidgeot. That evens up our prizes nicely. We have Secret Box, which could be good. $140. Alakazam does $140. I don't think that matters, though. We need Turo for next turn, though. Let's do. Yeah, I mean, if I had space for a balloon, the game would have been over, but I needed Fezandipiti to get there, so I didn't have a way to get there. That's the only problem. If I had a way to get the balloon reliably, I wouldn't have put Fezandipiti down, but now they're in a position where they can't take 3 prizes this turn unless they play Briar, and they don't have Briar now. They have Arven, so. But yeah, we didn't give them a chance, and they don't have bosses, so we keep the Fezandipiti too, which is nice. So they only have Flutter Mane to attack, which if they attack Flutter Mane, we win, basically. So. They didn't grab Unfair Stamp because we didn't knock anything out. So yeah, we just have game here at this point. Yeah, we just have game. No Iono, no Disruption. They can't use Unfair Stamp because we didn't take a KO. They can gust something, I guess. They can boss something. But if they boss up Fezandipiti, they don't take 3 prizes, so. Yeah, we basically have game in hand at this point now, so. That's pretty good. We kind of screwed up a little bit, but you know, playing against a Charizard is much nicer in these matchups because you only they only have one direction that they can go. That's it. Like they can only go forward. So, GG's. And that's the power of Gardevoir. Even though, like, we just really had a rough matchup against them. And even if we had 0 damage on this Charizard, we just win. Yep, GG. I always like to swing for maximum damage on my last one. Look at that. They did 1,500 damage and lost. That's crazy. We would have done another 300. So we would have done 800 damage to their 1,500, which is insane to think about. The deck that does like twice as much damage as me loses. Like that's kind of crazy. That was 7 turns. That's a fairly long battle, actually. It's a fairly long match. Let's review it because that was an interesting one. So we start off with Munkidori Ralts. They start off with Charmander, Radiant Charizard. So because of that, we know that they have the Charmander in the active slot. We don't know if they're going to get another one. So our best play is to get Flutter Mane. I mean, it's probably not our best play, but we have 2 Nest Balls, which gets us 2 Ralts. So we have energy in hand, so we can retreat the Munkidori. So we want to preserve Munkidori. We want to preserve Ralts. So we put up Flutter Mane just to force them to evolve something other than the active, right? And so we get the second Ralts down to set up, because we don't have it. It's our first turn. We don't have the ability to evolve either of them, but so we get the Ralts down. That was probably the best scenario that we could have had. Because like Flutter Mane's enough to disrupt. Flutter Mane's enough to disrupt most things. And Flutter Mane, like if it's Klefki doesn't stop a Charizard from evolving, right? And using its ability. Flutter Mane does. So like if they only have the Charmander active as an example, right? If Charmander's the only Pokemon that they have active, and we have Flutter Mane, that means when they evolve to Charizard, they can't use the ability because Flutter Mane shuts it down. Whereas if this is a Klefki, then Charizard doesn't care. It just goes around it. So then we have the Munkidori to the bench. We facilitate a Psychic Energy to the discard pile. Well, again, what we could have done there is we could have used Earthen Vessel to discard this energy to grab 2 more energy, and then put another energy down on Munkidori, which would have given us 2 energy in the discard pile, which would have been good. But if we get Iono'd, then we lose an energy out of that. So like, I'd rather just keep the Earthen Vessel for later in the game, where it might be more impactful than just rushing 2 energy when we don't really have any prospect of getting Gardevoir at the following turn, so there's not a rush to have energy in the discard pile for us. And besides, like we're more happy to have energy in the deck, so that the next turn, if we end up getting a Kirlia or 2, then we can target that with Refinement instead. So rather than something that we might actually want to play. So they get, TM Evolution and they get Buddy Poffin. They didn't lucky for us, they didn't have any energy in hand. So they end up getting a Pidgey and a Manaphy on the bench to start. Manaphy kind of sucks because it removes our ability to Scream Tail. So Manaphy is kind of annoying. And then Pidgey is also super annoying, but it would have been nice if some other things had happened, but we couldn't get there, unfortunately. So basically they get set up. They have another Charmander on the bench. Obviously they had it in hand. Drew a card, put a Charmander on the bench, plays the Arven, gets the rest of the board set up. So there's no way for us to avoid having a Charizard evolving and getting energies for free. That's just unavoidable at that point. So we draw Fezandipiti. We don't need Fezandipiti in this matchup until much later, and we have ways to get Pokemon back when we need them. So we can just safely discard Fezandipiti for now. We know that we're going to be Ionoing, so we're not going to be discarding the hand. So all we do is grab Dark Energy, because we're not going to be grabbing Psychic Energy as well, because we have no way to discard it right now. So we grab the Dark Energy, attach it to Munkidori to facilitate some damage moving around. And then we Iono, which is good, because we had Gardevoir in hand, but again, we had no way of getting Gardevoir out. We didn't have Rare Candy. We didn't have a way to search for Rare Candy. It was the last card in our hand, so that gives us a Gardevoir anyways. So we get a Gardevoir off of the Iono, which is good. And we get 2 Kirlias, which was phenomenal for us, because we drew an energy, because we didn't take energy out of the deck before we Ionoed. So that gave us an energy in hand so that we can Refinement from, which is great. We also have Ultra Ball. We have Pokemon League headquarters. Now that we know that they play TM Evo, they want to do it again. They're going to have an extra energy to do so. So we put down Pokemon League headquarters to delay that TM Evo just another turn if we can. Pretty nice. And then we disrupt their hand in the process because they had taken a prize, I believe. No, they hadn't taken a prize. Wait, how many did they drew? 6 cards? Okay, yeah. That's just how many cards they had. So we give them an extra card, unfortunately, but it was good enough to disrupt them for a turn, which is fine. So then we Psychic Energy into the discard pile. It gives us our Drifloon and our Gapejaw Bog. Again, we don't want to overplay it, right? We don't want to overplay it, so putting down the Pokemon League headquarters was the better option, because we know that they play TM Evo. So putting down Pokemon League headquarters kind of delays them in attack, at least, with the basic Pokemon, if they're going down that route. It's very heavy chance that they're going to have a Charizard either way, but at least we have a second Stadium in hand. We play that one first to possibly delay a play that they could make. And then we don't put down the Drifloon, and we don't put down the Gapejaw Bog yet, because those two are very important for later. We don't want to overplay it. Then we Refinement after the Iono. We get rid of the Ultra Ball, because we don't really need to search for Pokemon, because we have the Gardevoir in hand. So then we get Iono, and we get Tulip. And then we just don't do anything on that turn. It's fine. So then, again, so this is nice, because so they draw a card, and apparently they had nothing in hand. So they evolve to Pidgeotto, which is very good for us, which means they don't have the Rare Candy Pidgeot, which means they don't have the Rare Candy Charizard, or they were saving the Rare Candy for their Charizard, whichever one was the case. They attach the Fire Energy to Charmander, anticipating that they can get rid of the Stadium, which they can't because they need 2 energies to use its attack, not just 1. That's very good for us. So again, Stadium paid off. Pokemon League headquarters paid off that turn. Not like it would have mattered anyways, because if we put down Gapejaw Bog, then they could have attacked with Charmander to get rid of Gapejaw Bog, which would have been a completely different game, for reasons that we'll get into very shortly here. So, because it stopped them from attacking, which was great, we drew a basic Dark Energy, which is unfortunate. So then we put down Gapejaw Bog to get the 20 damage onto Drifloon, basically to start off Drifloon with a little bit of damage right away. We Kirlia for Refinement. We end up getting a Rare Candy a turn too late, unfortunately. We didn't need Tulip right away, so we get rid of Tulip. And we draw another Kirlia, which is fine. Then we get rid of the Rare Candy. We get Palpad, which is awesome, because that gets us our Tulip and Iono back. And we get Psychic Energy, which is great. Then we evolve to Gardevoir, because we had a Gardevoir in hand. We attach the basic energy to Flutter Mane, which facilitates getting another energy in the discard pile, which allows our Drifloon to attack now for 2 energies. Now, if we had Pokemon League headquarters, not only do we not have the extra 20 damage on Drifloon, which means that this doesn't get to 60 damage, which then doesn't hit for maximum, then it also means that we'd have to play a 3rd energy onto it. So, more on that in a minute. So we get the Palpad, we play the Iono. Only have 2 cards left that we can't really do much with. So we get the Research, which is great. We get the... If there was something in the prizes that we would have wanted, Hisuian Heavy Ball would have been nice, but in large, this hand is not really doing much for us either, which is fine. We play the Hisuian Heavy Ball, we just grab another Ralts, which we ended up using, so that's good too. We retreat the Flutter Mane, get the Drifloon in the active. We Psychic Embrace the 2 energies to the Drifloon. Now, this allows us to put 30 damage on Charmander. Because we have an extra energy in the discard pile, which then allows us to get Drifloon up to 50 damage. And then, because it was at 60, we moved 30. Now it goes to 50, and we can still KO the Charmander in the active slot. Because it does 150 damage. I mean, we probably could have done it. Could we have done it for 2? Yeah, we could have done it for 2, I think, right? Because 2 would be... No, it would do... It would have how much? 30, 60, 90? Yeah, it would do 90 damage. So we didn't need the extra energy on Drifloon. But we did it anyways, just for safety's sake, for math. It's a bit of a misplay because you don't want to take all of your energy out of the discard pile, but it's fine. So we get it's important to get the 30 damage on the benched Charmander, mostly because when this evolves to a Charizard, then it's within range of a single Drifloon attack, right? Then we don't have to worry about math later. Just doing the math now. And then we take the knockout on the Charmander, which is good. We get Bravery Charm, which is awesome too. It's fine. Then he gets another Pidgey down, which this is kind of a misplay. Not gonna lie. He has Pidgeotto down, which is fine. He doesn't need a second Pidgeot. And so putting a 50 HP range Pokemon is very dangerous. It could have been that they were trying to get us to take knockouts, but again, you don't want to bait Gardevoir into taking more knockouts than it needs to, because like that's just going to shore up my prizes later on. So they attach energy to the Charmander in the active spot. They put Defiance Band down. They research. They get rid of basically a bunch of Pokemon search. They have to retreat the Charmander, so they don't get a Charizard out, which is very, very intriguing. I guess they didn't have the pieces. Like, they didn't get the Charizard or they didn't get the rare candy off of the research, which is unfortunate for them. So that was very good for us that we dodged that. I'm guessing the Ionos that we played earlier put all of their stuff at the bottom and just like kind of made them dodge it for a little while. So it was very, very fortunate for us. And then they get the Pidgey in the active. So they're looking to sack the Pidgey. They want us to KO the Pidgey. And they evolve the Charmander to Charmeleon. So we kind of misplayed on this one too. Not that it really would have made much of a difference in the long-term thing. Because, like, what I should have done in this turn, we had Screamtail, which we can't do anything with because they have Manaphy. So we can refinement the Comfey. Alakazam is a huge draw. So we play the Alakazam down. We get damage on Alakazam, which is fine. And we have to research the rest of our hand because we can't make use of Screamtail. Carmine is just not as many cards for us. So like if we had Carmine and no research, Carmine would have been very, very good play here too. But we get 7 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We would have missed out on the Ralts and the TM Evo, which is fine. So like Carmine also would have been an extremely good card to get outside of research. Research gets us that extra 2, which the extra 2 weren't very much at all. So we get 2 energies, we get a Monkey, we get a Tulip, and we get the Super Rod, which is a very important card for us later. So we move 20 damage on from the Charmeleon onto the Pidgey in the active slot, and then we just have to move 30 damage from the Drifloon to the Pidgey for the KO. And then, so that was good. And then they move the Manaphy into the active slot. So we end up taking 2 KOs on this turn because they put up Pidgey. If they didn't have a Pidgey with like a 50 HP Pidgey, then we don't take 2 KOs this turn. So those 2 KOs kind of turned out to be huge for us. But yeah, so we reduce the damage on our Drifloon because we're fairly confident that they're going to, like, because they can only attack in a straight line. So they're either going to take an attack on our Flutter Mane, or they're going to take an attack on our Drifloon. And we have a lot of energy committed to our Drifloon to a point, but we don't. It's also not a whole lot, right? We have more energy that we can commit to it, so we can get that damage up very, very quickly. They put the Manaphy in the active slot. We retreat the Drifloon. This was important. Because we got the Ultra Ball off of the prizes, now we have a way to get those 2 energy in hand into the discard pile and facilitate an attack with Flutter Mane. So we retreat the Drifloon, which we're reducing its energy count by 1, which is great because we want to get more energies off of this Drifloon. I think at that point it had 3, so then we bring it down to 2. So that the less energy we have in the Drifloon means that the more that we can load it up with later. Kind of fixing the fact that we have to use this one for Munkidori, which really we really didn't want to, but we had to take the do that to take the KO on Pidgey. So it's unavoidable doing it for the Drifloon. Unfortunately, not an ideal situation, very unorthodox, but it managed to get us where we needed to get to because of the Ultra Ball. So we Ultra Ball 2 energies down. We get the Gardevoir to Psychic Embrace the Screen Tail a few times here. Do 90 damage onto the Manip. We misplayed here because we should have put 20 damage onto the Pidgeot, because that would have preserved the damage for later, right? Because 20 damage onto Pidgeot means that we can just use Alakazam to move that damage wherever we want to. Because we played it onto the Charmeleon, it just poofed into nothing, so we couldn't do anything. So that was kind of a misplay. Ultimately, it didn't amount to anything, which is good for us, but it's fine, because next turn it wouldn't have mattered anyways. They had the Charizard in hand. Ultimately, we want to get 30 damage onto it because Drifloon's very easy to reach 300. It's a bit trickier to reach 330. It can be done, but it's just much easier for math just to have 30 damage existing on Charizard anyways. So at the moment, it only has 10 damage on it. That's fine though. So they retreat the Pidgeot. They bring up the Charizard. They grab one of their 2 bosses orders, obviously go after the Gardevoir, because why wouldn't they? And then they take their first 2 prizes of the game, going after Gardevoir. And then we bring up Flutter Mane once again. So we really want them to face off against the Flutter Mane, because Flutter Mane is doing damage to their bench, which activates a bunch of stuff for us, right? It does a lot of really good stuff for us. So we get bosses orders off the top, which is great. We Refinement, get a little bit more. We Adrenabrain, damage to the Charizard to shore up that damage we were talking about, right? So we push off 30 from the Flutter Mane to get 30 more. So now Charizard has 40 damage on it. So it's within threshold for a KO from Drifloon, which is exactly where we want to be. So we play Ralts to the bench, takes 20 damage. We get the boss's orders. We lock up the Charizard. So we're going to force them to search out their switch. And the reason that is I know they're going to switch anyways. Hello, Marathon. How you doing? I know that they have Switch in the deck, right? Chances are, if you're playing a Radiant Charizard in your deck, you have Switch in the deck. The entire point of me bossing up the Radiant Charizard, if they don't switch out the Charizard, then I just start picking off their bench, and it becomes a very difficult match for them, because I have a lot of energy manipulation. A lot of damage manipulation, right? I have damage manipulation with the Screamtail. Or not Screamtail, Flutter Mane. I have damage manipulation with Munkidori. I have damage manipulation with Alakazam. So I'm piling up a lot of damage for very, very little effort, and I'm taking a lot of damage off of my side to do so. And I don't have Gardevoir in play right now, so they can't easily just boss up Gardevoir and take out another Gardevoir for 2 prizes. So their prize map is very, very difficult right now, as the board state currently is. So I'm forcing them into a situation where they have to switch this Charizard out, or else they're just going to be picked off, and not really, because Flutter Mane shuts down its Excited Heart abilities. So no matter how many prizes I take against Flutter Mane, Radiant Charizard cannot attack unless it has 5 energy attached to it. So all of a sudden, Radiant Charizard becomes a huge liability for them. So they have to deal with it, and so they have to Pidgeot search for a switch. And the point of that is that I want to lock them in there, because I can manipulate it so that I don't take a prize in 2 hits on this Charizard, but I do end up pushing a lot of damage around to put them into very dangerous range. And the other part of it is it wastes their Pidgeot search. So they could Pidgeot search for literally anything at all. Now they have to waste it to find a switch. So that's what I want to do. I want to manipulate my opponent into doing the thing that I want them to do and lose a turn having whatever card they want. So I'm forcing them to grab a card they need instead of a card that they want. That's the entire purpose of bossing up the Radiant Charizard in that turn. So then they get another Charmander down to the bench. Bogged does 20, which ends up being a very, very important amount of damage. Gets the Charmander to 50 HP. Thank you, Bogged. So then they quick search. They have to quick search or switch. They have to. Like there's literally no other option. They have to quick search for switch. If I don't boss up the Radiant Charizard here this turn, right? If for whatever reason I just hit my head and I don't boss up, and I just, you know, attack. Not only can they just Pidgeot search for a different stadium, they can go Collapse Stadium, like they can grab a Collapse Stadium, put it down, and then play the Charmander, and then not have the 20 damage on the Charmander, and then they can just like KO my Flutter Mane. But now they have to deal with the fact that there's a Gardevoir Bog on the field. They decide to put down a second Charmander to try and facilitate another Charizard. This ends up costing them game right here. 20 damage onto Charmander puts it within 50 damage, which is an Alakazam and a Munkidori away from KOing. So we're both on 3 prizes at this point. Pidgeot quick searches for switch. They attach an energy to Pidgeot. Very oddly attach an energy to Pidgeot. I'm guessing they were trying to get rid of the Gardevoir Bog by attacking with Pidgeot or something. I'm not entirely sure what this was about. And then they play switch. The thing that they grab with Pidgeot, obviously. And so they bring out Charizard. So now Charizard can only attack in a straight line. So instead of going after the Flutter Mane, they decide to gust up my Drifloon, which is perfectly fine because we can get Drifloon back any point in time. Again, at this point in time, we do not have a Gardevoir on the field. So, very important reason why I did not put Gardevoir down and I just started attacking with Flutter Mane was because I did not want to be another target for boss's orders and then have a very hard time of getting Gardevoir back out. So, that's fine. He has another boss's orders. So he might have had switch in hand, or he might have had boss in hand. He has one of those two, and he grabs the other one. So then he bosses up the Drifloon because this is the only thing that can really be a big threat to Charizard at that point. And then he attacks for 600. Drifloon's knocked out. Flutter Mane comes back in. So at this point, we Super Rod back in the Drifloon. We get the Scream Tail back in now that Manaphy's gone. So this could facilitate an attack on the bench if we need to. And then we get ourselves, oh my god, Fezandipiti back because educated guess tells me that they likely only have 2 bosses in the deck. They may not be running Countercatcher, they might have Countercatcher, but educated guess is that Fezandipiti, it should be safe. We'll see. So we refinement another energy, we get Fezandipiti. We don't really have a hand that we can do a whole lot with right now. So we just have to YOLO this and put Fezandipiti down. Fezandipiti ends up getting us our Drifloon, which is huge. That is huge for later. So we refinement, Kirlia, Calamitous Snowy Mountain is also very, very good for us. Not really game changing because it ultimately we had enough energy in the discard pile anyways. But with the way that things were going, Calamitous Snowy Mountain, very, very nice. So we put down Calamitous Snowy Mountain because I don't think that they're putting down any other Pokemon at this point in time, so Gardevoir Bog doesn't really matter. We play Arven, we get Night Stretcher, which is nice. So we Adrenabrain, 30 damage over, we Painful Spoons, 20 from the Radiant Charizard onto the little Charmander, and Charmander facilitates a knockout. Thank you, Gardevoir Bog, because that gets us a KO, and that gets us to 2 prizes. We get Secret Box, which is very big for the following hand if we decided to go for it. We ended up getting game in hand anyways. This would have been the icing on the cake because we could have Turo'd something if they had gusted our Flutter Mane away, and we didn't have the ability to get the enough energies on the Drifloon, etc. Secret Box grabs everything that we want at that point in time. Should it be that point, so we can get ourselves a supporter, we can get ourselves a Bravery Charm. We can get ourselves a Pokemon Search, all that sort of fun stuff. It's in our hand at our fingertips if we need it next turn, if something goes sideways. So they decide to Super Rod Manaphy back in. They go for, they Arven for Super Rod Evo. They attach an energy to the Radiant Charizard, bizarrely enough. They take 20 damage from, again, that could have been a big 20 damage too. Had we not move the 20 damage off of this Charizard, I think this would have just been like 10 HP left. So again, it's now sitting at 130 damage, so it's within a Munkidori of being KO'd. Again, Calamitous Snowy Mountain doing massive work here. So Pidgeot search for something. I'm not entirely sure what it was because they never used it. They just attacked in a straight line. They take out Flutter Mane, and the game is over at this point because that frees up a bench spot. We put down Drifloon. We have the Bravery Charm in hand. We attach the energy, take the 20 damage from Calamitous Snowy Mountain. We retreat Munkidori to the bench. Drifloon's in the active slot. We have Gardevoir in hand. We Psychic Embrace for enough damage, and then Bob's your uncle. Game is over. So they got down to 2 prizes. We take our last 2 prizes. We had multiple different ways to get there if we didn't already have the pieces in hand. Secret Box was really huge in that we could have used Secret Box to facilitate that. If we didn't have any one of those pieces, we ended up having all the pieces. So there we go. There's a very active Gardevoir matchup